Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Cuz You Don't Know Football. So, guys, thank you for always tuning into this everlasting advancement of football knowledge, and football banter and debate. And today we got a special episode for you. Guys, today we start the Fatal Flaw series. Now you might be asking, what's the Fatal Flaw series? See, now we're at the point where the teams are pretty much, they're not set, but we're definitely pretty close to there. And now we can see how things are going to shape up and everything like that. So we are going to be talking about divisions and how they're going to shape up. But we're talking about teams, and we're going to talk about the reasons why each team, it's not possible that they can win the Super Bowl. Remember, I said that we're giving every single team, all 32 teams, the reason why they're not going to win the Super Bowl. So it's going to be a fun series. Stick with us through August, and we will start there. Today we got a special guest in the building. We're going to talk a little bit about him. You know, he's coming on there. He's coming on now. We're just going to let him get set up and everything. So we're doing it. Cuz, can you hear me?
How we doing?
Cuz, what's going on, baby? Welcome to the show.
Thank
Listen,
you, thank you.
the reason why I'm calling him Cuz is because this is actually a pretty special moment for me. So I've been seeing in the comments, everybody always says, Tariq, you always think you know what you're talking about. Well, if you knew my family, you know I come from a group of people that all think they know what they're talking about. So this is normal for me. It might be new for you, but it's normal for me. So what I want to do is introduce you guys to my cousin. Daniel, welcome to the show, cuz.
Hey, thank you, man. I'm glad to be here.
And I didn't lie about that. Everybody always says, you always swear you know what you're talking about. And I'm like, well, you got to talk to the rest of the family. You'll see what's up.
Right. It's in the DNA. It's in the DNA.
So welcome to Cuz You Don't Know Football. Of course, we're going to start breaking down the NFC and NFC East and NFC South rosters and talk about the division winners and everything like that. Very exciting show. But I did want to go into a little bit. Tell everybody the backstory about Unc, about, you know what I mean, everything. Just give them a little bit, not too much, just a little bit.
Well, football's definitely in the DNA. Pops played at Vanderbilt, drafted by the Eagles in the 70s, played with them for 15 years, Super Bowl 15 against the Raiders, traded to 49ers, Falcons, Rams, all over the place, retired when I was about 2 years old. And that's where it started. But, Diane's husband also played with the Cowboys. You know what I mean? So we had family all across the SEC playing. Like, we know football. It's kind of what we do.
It's just in the DNA. You see that? I got relatives that was in the Super Bowl and playing on big stage. This is why I think I know what I'm talking about. It's not even my fault. It's really not even my fault. So let's get into it. So of course, you being an Eagles fan, of course, I had to bring you on when we was talking about the NFC East. So let's start this. So actually, this is pretty big because this is the start of our Fatal Flaw series. So we're talking about every team and why they can't win the Super Bowl. Even though one of these teams is going to win the Super Bowl, why they can't win the Super Bowl. We're going to start there. So let's just jump right on into it. I'm actually pretty curious. I'm actually going to pick. I'm going to pick the Commanders, formerly known as the Washington Redskins,
And they're about to change again.
and they're about to change again. They just can't.
They're about to change again.
But
Uh,
what is their fatal flaw? Let's start there.
quarterback, Sam Howell, second year starter. He got his first start like game 15 in 2000 last year. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he's unproven. Now they have Jahan Dotson and what's his name, McLaurin at your wide receiver. You got Brian Robinson Jr. and Torrey Gibson in the backfield. Great running backs. Their defense is stacked on paper.
Yeah.
Jonathan Allen and Chase Young on the edge, and you got Darren Payne and Montez Sweat up the middle. I mean, as far as your pieces where you want them, you got them. But their fatal flaw is no continuity on the offense because I don't trust the quarterback.
Yeah. So like that's actually pretty easy. That, but also with Chase Young not being there, I think that really affects their pass
Can't stay healthy.
he can't stay healthy, and I really think that
Can't
affects
stay healthy.
their pass rush. And it's crazy because like his rookie year, I said, "Oh my god, like he's going to be a
Beastly.
problem. He's a problem." So it's really a shame. I hate stories like that when like it's really just injuries that's prohibiting a player from doing having success. But yeah, between the quarterback and pass rush, those are two things that I always look at to say who's going to win a Super Bowl, who has the potential of winning a Super Bowl. So pass
Absolutely.
and quarterback. So I just had to add something else to it.
But I do like them as a sneaky pick in the division simply because there has never been a two-time division winner in the NFC East since like '01 to '04 when the Eagles did it 4 years in
Yeah,
a row.
but you just did that. I see what you did there. I see what you
You
did.
know
I see what
what you
you
see?
did
I'm
there.
saying?
You picked
Listen,
up your team.
listen. For 20 years, nobody's done it. I'm just saying.
I
I'm
see what
just
happened now.
saying.
I like that. I like how you slid that in there. You need to slid that
Just
underneath.
let it be known. That's all.
Yeah, since the Eagles did it, that's fine.
It's been 2 decades. No big deal.
You know what I mean? It's just hard to do, and only one team was able to do it in 2 decades. I see. All right, cool, cool. Let's move on. Let's actually move on to the Giants.
I actually like the Giants as far as their defense, but that's kind of it. I think the Saquon stuff, he's not, his head may not be all the way there. Because if y'all, I mean, I'm a premier running back and you want to pay me, I
Mm-hmm.
have no faith in Daniel Jones. I'm sorry. I know they're paying him like he's top 10. He may be top 25 of the 32 quarterbacks, but I don't think he's, you know what I'm saying? Who's the wide receivers?
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? There's too many unknowns for me with the Giants.
Got you, got you. Um, so for me, and this is I think the Giants did this offseason what gets GMs fired all the time, which is overpaying for a quarterback. So I hate it when a good quarterback gets paid great money. And because it locks up the rest of your roster. So I think their defense is okay. I don't think it's top flight. I think
No, 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 not
um
at all.
yeah, yeah. So like once again, but you can't really add on to that. That was the problem with the Saquon contract. I would have paid Saquon, but after you already pay that quarterback, now there's something that can't get paid properly. So
Yeah, that should I agree with that completely. The off-season move for the paying Daniel Jones top five quarterback money made little sense to me when you knew Saquon is gonna have a contract coming up.
but like every team falls for that. Like there's so many quarterbacks that get paid so much more than they're actually worth. And it's like, well, now you can't do anything with your roster. And it shows itself time and time again. You're limited somewhere, and I don't know why GMs don't catch on to that.
Well, because we have it in our brain that QB is the end all be all for your team. You can't, I mean, I can't think of a team since Dilfer with the Ravens or the Bears in '85 where the quarterback was not good, but the rest of the team took them to the promised land.
I would put in Brad Johnson with Tampa Bay in '03.
Okay, yeah, yes, Johnson
I
as
would add
well.
him to that list.
But you know what I'm saying, though? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
other than that, your QB's got to be elite, top tier to take you to that next level.
But that's a very good point because that at least shows you can have a average to below average quarterback if your roster is good enough and
If you
still.
have a sound roster around it.
But when you have a quarterback, we have zero instances of a good quarterback getting paid more than he's worth and a Super Bowl happening.
No, I don't think ever.
That's my point. So that's why this is a fatal flaw. You know, that's why that's exactly why.
I do think because they made it last year in a tough NFC East, I think they make the playoffs though.
So in the in last week's episode, I actually went over and picked division winners and who was going to make the playoffs. So I did
Okay.
I did a way too early playoff prediction. I think the Giants are not going to make the playoffs this year.
You don't think they go back again?
No.
Okay.
You guys just keep in mind that there's an average of about 6 teams that make the playoffs that didn't make it the year before, which means there's an average of 6 teams that don't. And when you look at reasons why a team is going to make it as opposed to why a team's going to slide, I kind of look at the Giants. I don't see them as a perennial NFC power to say, "Oh, we're just gonna make the playoffs again and again and again." So they
Oh,
did.
I don't think so. Like, I'm not letting, lock it in, put the money on it. But at the same time, I like there's certain pieces where I'm like Saquon could go off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The defense could gel. They got some young players on there. They could gel. You know what I mean? And last year, 3 teams made it. Could happen again. I agree with you. They probably won't. But like, they're one of my, okay, y'all could slide in at 9-7, on that last week of the year, beating like, the Cowboys or something.
Right. So yeah. So, but we'll actually get into that a little bit more as we go. All right. All right, let's talk about them Cowboys. I know you ain't never been a fan of the Cowboys. So like it's funny because everybody always talks about who doesn't like who and who's the biggest rivalry. When we was growing up, to me, it was definitely the Eagles and the Cowboys. Like,
Eagles and the Cowboys.
I don't know if any two fan bases, when I say hated each other, I mean violence was breaking out. You know what I mean? Like,
There's no love lost. That's just what it is. Like, I hope you lose every year. I don't care. I hope you never win again.
but like that's what I'm saying. People are like, and it's always interesting to me. And I'm like even when you say the Cowboys and the Giants, I'm like, nah, they like each other more than the Eagles and the Cowboys. Like the Eagles and Cowboys, they like there's like
Yeah.
So
yeah, no blood lost.
So talk to me about those Cowboys. What's their fatal flaw?
Jerry Jones. Listen, they may be one of, if not the most talented roster out there.
Mhm.
Like, if you look at position for position, and Dak is good. I know people are going to downplay him because he played terrible last year, but Dak is good. But like Tony Pollard's rocking the ball now. Zeke is gone.
Mhm.
Their wide receiver core is insane with CeeDee Lamb, who's it? CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Brandon Cooks. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
yeah,
That,
yeah.
that trio alone. You
Mhm.
know they're going to have the tight end locked up. The offensive line is going to be decent. And the defense has Micah Parsons.
Right. And they just got Gilmore. They just got
And yeah,
so he
Stephen
might be
Gilmore.
their best corner now. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. Like, position for position, maybe the most talented roster, but I think they get handcuffed every year. And I feel like it's Jerry. It's been Jerry since the 90s. He has too much influence. He's got to step back like it's 97 and let the coach and the players handle it.
Right.
Because they'll go 12-4, 13-5, and you know what I mean, and be like in the playoffs and get blown out in the divisional.
Mm-hmm.
It make no sense. Like, y'all can score 8 points. It happens every year.
It happens every single year. It happens every single year.
They looked amazing last year. They were 12-4 last year.
Yeah. So that actually leads me to what I think. So you're right. The overall answer is yes, it is Jerry Jones. That is the ultimate answer. But I'm gonna give you the same. I'm gonna double down and give you the same answer that I gave you with the Giants. When you overpay your quarterback, you strap your roster. The problem is Dak Prescott is getting paid top money. So that means, especially now when you talk about new people coming in, young guys having to step up and losing pieces that you can rely on, the Cowboys have to rely on Dak Prescott to be great. And he's not great.
Amazing. Yeah.
So eventually at some point, that's going to catch up to them. I promise you, even with this overwhelmingly talented roster, it's going to catch up with them. And we're going to get a result that I kind of think is a little bit more predictable.
I think they make the playoffs, but again, they lose, divisional. You know what I'm saying? They'll lose at some point. That's just, I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they make the playoffs.
Okay. So, okay, cool. Yeah, I agree. I do think that they make. I think the Eagles and the Cowboys both make the playoffs again this year.
Yeah.
So let's bring it over. Let's bring it on home. Let's bring it on to Philly
Let's
right
bring
now.
it to the big dogs.
No, I just want to see. I just want to know if you honestly going to tell the truth and be objective about this.
Listen, we're gonna find out, huh?
That's because I feel as though my expectations that you're gonna say there's no reason, there's nothing. You need a new name for this segment.
Listen, there's not many, but yeah, I think they lost a lot on defense in the free agency. They kept some great pieces.
I think CJ, what's his name? Gardner
Oh yeah, Gardner. Yeah,
Yeah, see, I think that's a big loss, to tell you the truth.
I think that's huge, but as at the safety, but they did keep their two other cornerbacks.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they brought back their entire D line that had double digit sacks for everybody.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And obviously they have like six guys from Georgia who are going to fit right in. But
Oh, Philadelphia,
I,
Philadelphia, Georgia Bulldogs. That's what y'all
hey,
are.
listen, at this point, I mean, why not? But honestly, I think their biggest fatal flaw for any team like that is going to be their complacency. Because every team they go up against is going to give them their absolute best shot to beat them. Everybody on the schedule is coming for their head. Whatever we did last year, I'm not doing that again. I'm rushing more, or I'm dropping back more, or I'm bringing, a 4-man rush. I'm bringing a 5-man rush. I'm dropping 7. Like whatever I did before that you beat us, because you beat most of us, I'm
Hmm.
not doing that again. So I think complacency is where they get jammed up. Because again, just like the Cowboys, insanely talented roster from top to bottom. They just picked up Swift, obviously the wide receiver duo with Devontae and AJ. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not many holes outside of them beating themselves,
Right.
being lazy.
So I actually do think not this year, but like as soon as we talk about next year, because you got a lot of rookies, I think the future in terms of a roster is brighter for the Eagles than the Cowboys. So the
Oh,
Cowboys have
absolutely.
a roster this year, but that's only because listen, that defensive line is going to be I don't know. Y'all might be able to go 4 deep on the defensive line.
That's what I'm saying. That kind of rotation is insane in the NFL.
Yeah. So and then like next year y'all just gonna get better because you're gonna draft again. So Howie has definitely been like amazing at drafting. So my fatal flaw for the Eagles is actually they because you guys lost your offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Um,
Yeah.
that so like I feel like the culture is still there, but those little tweaks, the understanding, you got to have a new understanding for who's going to do what. Like so, like for a quarterback more specifically, when you lose your offensive coordinator, that's who you talk. Like it's not even really the head coach or who you really are dealing with.
It's
That's
that
who
ear.
knows you.
That's who's in your ear.
That's who's in your ear. That's who you're talking to. That's who gets to know you. That's who knows what situation not to put you in, or say, all right, let's try to move it like this. So I think that the hand holding is gone, and now I think that's more pressure on Jalen Hurts to be, you know what I mean? Like he's got to stay, like he
To
would have
step up.
up, like he'd have
Right.
to step up. You know what I mean? And that's where I think at some point that relationship has to be cultivated again. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And I just don't think that when you lose both, that person on the offense and defensive side, I think that's a hard sell.
It's hard to duplicate.
It's a hard sell, man. Like
Hard to duplicate. What was it?
losing one of them can change the dynamic of like that could be 2 or 3 wins, or that could be 2 wins right there. So when you lose both of them, I mean, it could. I'm not saying it will be, but I'm saying that there could be a little slide there, you know. So
No, I don't disagree with that. Absolutely. But that's to the point of the complacency. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't matter who's coming in.
mhm.
We know what we are.
Right,
You know what I mean? So we'll
right.
see. Obviously, on
See,
paper, it
but
looks
right there,
nice.
see, right there, that's the dynamic that I think that's the troublesome. We know who we are. You're coming here. The problem is, it's not supposed to be that dynamic. The dynamic's supposed to be,
Yeah,
I set the tone as the coach, and you guys do
you
what I
do what
tell
I
you to
say.
do. So so like it could be somebody who says, "All right, I'm gonna drop back more," to somebody says, "I'm gonna blitz more," or something like that. But that throw off, it's different. It's just different. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
that's exactly why I'm saying what I'm saying. Um, so all right, let's talk about this division. How you see this? How you see this shaking up? This NFC, the NFC beast.
Uh, like I said, it's been 20 years, but I think the Eagles repeat as the division winner.
Okay. So how do you see like who do you see like why isn't Dallas going to win it? How do you why Washington is like they're not there yet or what's what? Like what do you say?
I think Washington's a year away with how, like I said, the pieces around him are there. Wide receiver, running back. They just picked up the offensive lineman as well. They just picked up a new offensive lineman as well. Like I said, the pieces around him, like we to our point with the deal for what I'm saying and stuff like that. The pieces are around him, but I think like he's a year away from really competing in the NFC East perennially. Giants, I'm sorry, they're consistently just underperforming. You know what I'm saying? In games they should win, in fact. You're
Well,
like,
last
how
year
do
they
you
did beat the Vikings last year. Remember, they put out the Vikings in the playoffs, so they played up. I didn't think they was going to
oh,
win the game. They played up.
I don't disagree. Consistency is for me is the Giants issue.
Fact. That's a
You know
fact.
what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
Consistency. Cowboys, almost kind of the same thing. You'll see them rattle off 7 straight wins and look like it's 97 again, and then lose to, the Jaguars or something on a last minute, on not some
Or
nonsense.
whoever that, the Texans.
Yeah, the Texans, you know what I mean? Just some ridiculous game they got no business losing, and that takes them out of the division lead.
I would have said my Colts, but I refuse to put them in that conversation for worst teams in the NFL. So sorry, I'm not going to go.
Listen, they got what was it? I think they're number like 3 on easiest schedules this year, so Colts might be able to.
We'll see. We'll have to talk about that. We do. It's a lot. It's a lot. There's like seriously with my Colts, there's like 8 ifs. It's like 8 ifs.
Listen, like 5 people got kicked off for gambling. We don't know what Richardson's going to be. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's like 8 ifs that have to like all be like, oh, that worked out for me to be like, okay.
And like 2 of them are health.
2 of them are health, and one of them is Anthony Richardson has to be better than I think. His footwork and fundamentals got to be amazing.
The physical gifts are there. Dude's a monster.
Yeah, but like I need an out throw. You know what I mean?
I need accuracy. Like, just check it down.
I need a post. You see what I'm saying?
Hit that running back. Yeah, hit that running back.
I don't need that go route yet. Okay, I'll get there. Okay, can we get that? Can we get that
right.
in pattern? Okay, how about that comeback? Can we get that?
Listen, a lot of people don't like to do it as quarterbacks, but you can go 5 yards, 6 yards, 3 yards, dink and dunk down the field and get a touchdown. You're like, nah, I got to throw it 60. Like, you don't. You don't.
You don't. Yeah. So like I said, I'm just saying. I'm not saying we're great right now. All I'm saying is we ain't the worst. Okay, and I'm not
right. Yeah.
Texans.
Texans for sure.
But I'm actually going to shake things up right now. I actually think that the Cowboys are going to win the division this year. And it's for that reason. Like, it's just we just haven't seen it in 20 years where like a team like
repeats.
And I think in terms of, like I said, the loss of, and this is really just the swing of about like I'd say about 3 games where I'm like, you would know what to do, and now you're back to figuring out those 2 or 3 games
in this situation because of a new coach.
For this season. Like I said, this is for this season, as opposed to Dallas, where I feel as though, they pretty much got it figured out what they're going to do, and we know who they are. Even when they had Ezekiel Elliott and everything like that, they weren't really like a power running team. They run enough, but they were still that passing team. And I think by getting Brandon Cooks, I think they kind of doubled down on that to try to help out as best they can. And I think Dak is a leader. I think he's a good quarterback, and I think he's a leader. I just don't think he's great. So I think there's a limit, but I do think I can see that I can see them win enough games to win the division.
That part is what concerns me. Again, like I said, it's going to be one of those 2 for sure. But that part with the Cowboys, because Dak is good for like 3 or 4, just like, what was that pass, man?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, throwing it right to the defender or something. Like, what did you see that we didn't see on the replay? Because there wasn't nobody close to where you threw it. You know what I mean? Though, like the time, like, when he was like trying to run it one time and like the goal line and like threw a pick. You're like, what do you like? Dak, just put your head down or like slide, homie. Like, play another down. I feel like he wants to be the hero so much.
Day.
Right, but like to your point, like they paid me the big dollars. They paid me top 5, top 3 quarterback money. I'm playing for a quote unquote America's team. I have to perform. Yeah. And I feel like that hero mentality at times gets in his head. And he's like, let me force this 45 bomb to this, dude triple covered. And it's like, or you could have dumped it to the tight end for 6 and came back and played third and 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've seen that too often.
They do have that level of inconsistency. To be honest with you, if I believed more in Sam Howell, I would have picked Washington. I feel as though, and I really do feel as though their defense is the best in that division. I do think so.
I think they're on par with the Eagles as far as that.
And I think their continuity is the strongest. With their coaching staff has been there for a couple years. Like you said, they got Scary Terry, they got Gibson. They always find a running back from somewhere. You know what I
Just
mean?
randomly. I mean, Brian Robertson, like Mr. Many Men himself. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Gets shot up, comes back 6 weeks later, and he's running for, he almost had 1,000 yards his first year for half the season. I mean, dude's a monster.
Yeah, it's just that I think that, especially in this division, there's going to be times where you look at Washington and you say, all right, you're playing the Eagles. You might have to put up 30. Can you rely on that? Or you play in Dallas, you might have to
Might
put
put
up
up
30.
30.
You know what I'm saying? Can you do that? You know what I mean? So, like, I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm saying I could see that pressure being too much for Sam Howell in terms of where his ceiling is, his floor ceiling.
He's got like 2 games under his belt in the NFL. And not that he's a bad quarterback. He was good at North Carolina. You know what I'm saying?
He's
Like,
good. He's good.
I think he's a talented guy. But to your point, like you said, can you give me 30 plus to beat the Eagles and the Cowboys on the offensive side? Right. Defensively, can you stay healthy enough to stop them from getting 35, 40 points on us?
Right.
So like that's why I said like they're my dark horse.
Right, hold on. Right, they're a dark horse, but then also keep in mind, oh, here comes Detroit. They put up 38 on everybody last year. Oh, and then here comes San Fran. Wait, are you going to turn the ball over? Can you make sure that defense doesn't control this game and everything like so? Like, I think there's a lot of in division, but also out of division games that they're going to have that I think they're going to have. They have to put up points. That defense is good, not great, but I think it's the best in the division. But I think it's like it has this, like I said, the pass rush is not going to be overwhelming. And I think
to the point you made earlier, contingent on the health, contingent on Chase Young staying healthy. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the biggest pieces. It's the health. If they can stay healthy, they can be a top 5 defense.
They tried to trade him, and it was and nobody bought. So keep in mind, his first 2 years were outstanding. They tried to trade him, and nobody was like, "No, I'm not giving you nothing." I think there's something there, and I think it's like we've seen the best of Chase Young. You know what I mean? I think his career is like different now. Like he has to, be he has to be a rotational piece and something, but I don't think consistently he can be. I think that's why they tried to trade him. I don't think he can consistently be what he was.
Are you thinking like almost like Clowney was? Came out number one.
No, I don't think Clowney was as good
and then fell off.
Clowney wasn't as good as advertised. He was as good as advertised. He has an injury that I think I just think it'll be different for his career now. You know what I mean? Like he has to play different than what he knows how to play. That he has to play different now than how he played his whole life, which got him into the NFL, which got him to Ohio State, which got him drafted number 2, which got him success in the NFL. I think he has to play different, and that takes time. You know what I mean?
I would hope having Jonathan Allen on the bookend would relieve some pressure. That's what I'm hoping. You know what I'm saying? And you have Darren
Payne. If he was healthy, you'd have Sweat, you'd have Allen, and then you'd have Chase Young. That is devastating.
You have Payne in the middle, who's a top 5 defensive tackle. That's what I'm saying. If they could stay healthy, you're talking about an elite level defense.
But yeah, so that's what that is. Okay. So I mean, we'll have to see about that. The NFC South is always interesting. So moving on now to the NFC South. I was thinking about a couple different divisions, but I thought this would be pretty fun, keeping it all NFC today. So that's what it is. So let's go jump in the NFC South, and let's start off again with those fatal flaws. Let's go easy with the Buccaneers, which I do think this is interesting because once again Tom Brady's gone. They're rebuilding. So talk to me. What do you think about this? What's their if one we could pick fatal flaw?
Stability. It's gone. Mm-hmm. Tom Brady's retired. You have Kyle Trask, who has never started a game.
Correct.
A significant game.
Or it might be what's the guy?
And you have Baker Mayfield, who's on his 4th team in 2 years.
It's terrible.
You know what I'm saying? And like, I don't disagree with the quarterback being your most important position, especially in the NFL, but
Mhm.
those are not great. Those aren't great choices,
Nah.
period. And then you have your two next biggest things are what? The trenches, offensive, defensive line. You've added some new defensive players, so they got to gel, to your point. You know what I'm saying? But also, you're starting a new right tackle, a new left tackle, potentially both guards. That's a whole new line blocking for not Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think they finished last in the division, in fact.
The running backs are different too. It's not
Fournette's gone.
Fournette's gone. That's what I was
You know
gonna
what I'm saying? Like so for me, it's stability because they don't have any right now. Everything's new.
they just happen to have two good wide receivers. And
Who gonna throw the ball?
exactly. That's not one. So like, do you think? All right. So is Tampa Bay the worst team in the league, or are they just the worst team in this division?
I gotta see what Texans do with those two picks, CJ and
And
Anderson,
yeah. CJ Stroud and the guy
Will
from
Anderson.
Will Anderson from Alabama.
I want to, you know what I'm saying? So there's potential that they because the Texans have been the worst team for like the last decade, but like they're fighting for it if you will. If the Buck there you go, the Bucks
The
are
Rams
fighting
are down
for
there too now, though. The Rams are down there too.
Rams and fell off after a Super Bowl, didn't they? Hard. I don't get that.
Yeah, man. The Rams. But I kind of think Tampa Bay might be the worst team in the league.
That's what I'm saying. Like everything that got them two division wins and a Super Bowl 2 years ago is
Right.
just gone.
Right. Everything.
Everything.
I think if people want to start over, I think that's how you do it, though. Let's just blow this whole
Oh,
thing up.
clear the house. Yeah,
Yeah,
clear the
I think
whole
so.
roster.
So I will give Tampa Bay props on that. If you gonna start over, that is how you do it. Blow this whole
Hey,
thing up.
stop. Let's hold on to him. No. Everybody got to go.
Everybody, you gone out of
I,
here.
I,
Out
like,
of
don't get
here.
me wrong. I like Shaq Barrett if he can stay healthy on the
Mhm.
defense. I like Vita V. Was it Vita Villa?
Vita yeah, defensive
Vea,
tackle.
sorry. Again, those two healthy. Yes, they're can disrupt and can be good, but it's so much youth around them. Like everything's gone. Like nothing on the back end. Like it's just
No, I agree with that. Like Barrett, like I don't know if I think his best days might be behind him. And I do think this defense runs through Vita Vea. And I can't think of anyone's name today for some reason, but the linebacker, um, they have a linebacker that's really good. This is going to annoy me, and I'm now going to look up Tampa Bay's linebackers. um,
Devin White, Levante.
Devin White, thank you, Devin White.
I like Levante David's not a slouch. He's just young.
Nah. So like they definitely got some pieces, but like I said, I think they got rid of the pieces that would have cost more. Like you know what I mean? Their identity needs to
Cleared house.
it needs to be different. So I like that. So so which actually was my thing for Tampa Bay was where do you start? You know what I mean? Like there's so many like their fatal flaw that to act like they have one, I think is a
It's
disservice
a
to
list.
where they are.
It's a list.
Baker Mayfield might be their starting quarterback, and he got better when the team asked him to throw the ball less and hand the ball off more. And you know what I mean? So like that's never a good building block.
As a quarterback, right?
So I mean, like we'll see. I think that offense is going to be terrible. But yeah, where do you
Which
start with?
I feel bad for Freeman because he's had what like 9, 10 straight years of like 1,000 yards or something.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's a monster at wide receiver. And now we said, who's gonna throw the ball? Who's gonna give him, 50, 60 catches this year?
I mean, it's about the fact that they have to get them the ball. It's not like I said, the wide receivers are there. You're talking about Mike Evans, right?
Evan, sorry.
It's all good. I think like him and Goodwin, like they're really good. It's just about They ain't gonna have time to get open. They don't have somebody
Right.
enough to get them the ball. They don't have a running game to play action that anyone's gonna be scared of. So I think, yeah. Honestly, if I was them, I might be looking at trading Mike Evans too.
Listen, get some picks or just get some leverage so you can come up with like a number one pick.
You see what I'm
That's
saying?
that's not a
Let's just
because
be
he's
bad.
worth
Like
it.
go all the way. Let's be bad. You got a generational quarterback coming in to the NFL this season. Like I mean, this draft. Let's get terrible. Let's get people
And
off.
draft him. Exactly.
And
I agree completely.
so that's that. So yeah. So where do we start with Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
So all right. So moving on. Let's talk about the Saints. What's their fatal flaw?
I mean, they got the easiest schedule in the league. It's kind of hard to pick out one fatal flaw. I guess the
So
your
what? So here's the thing about that. So that statistic, I think, is a little bit overblown because once again, there's always 6 teams that make like last year it was 7. 7 teams made the playoffs last year that did not make it the year before. So there's always 6 teams that were asked the year before that somehow are just better than you thought they were going to be. So usually teams with the
absolutely.
difficult schedules, their schedule is actually a little bit more manageable than the teams that you're looking at and say, oh, they got an easy schedule because their schedule is easy because they're playing teams that didn't make the playoffs, and you play 4 of those teams, 2 of them probably are going to make the playoffs this year, which means losses for you. So,
Oh yeah, like the whole schedule thing, like strength of schedule is based off of last year's record.
mm-hmm,
So to your point, 6 of those teams that might make it this year. All of a sudden, that easy schedule, you're struggling to get a win from any of them.
mm-hmm.
So I agree completely. Like for me, it's just for them, it's beating themselves. I mean, they don't have much in the backfield. I mean, I'm not impressed by anything on the defense. Like, there's no standouts really anywhere. You know what I mean? And they're bringing in Derek Carr.
I think the Saints got some standouts. So they got Chris Olave, wide
Rookie,
receiver.
okay. I was thinking vet wise, but yeah, Olave.
Yeah. They got that defense has been good. Like I think they're definitely a top 10 defense.
Yeah, I mean, they got to get those. The turnovers weren't great last year, but yeah, as far as like yards per game and stuff, they were top 10 last year.
Right, but and once again, so flipping it from what I said about Dallas and the Giants, they got Derek Carr, and he's not getting paid top money anymore. So, but I think he's better than the contract he's being paid. Like not last year, but the year before that, if you remember, they made the playoffs when he was with the Raiders,
Right.
and he was literally carrying that team. Like he had like I
Yeah.
mean, retrospect is 2020 for a reason, but like Hunter Renfrow is not a legitimate target, and he
Listen,
looked like a legitimate target. You know what I'm saying? I think Darren Waller was even hurt that year, so
yeah, Waller was
he was
hurt.
literally like carrying them, and I was like, wow. So he's like, I like Derek Carr a little bit more than most, but
I like Derek Carr in the position in the situation he's in for sure.
in this situation, that's what I'm saying. In this situation, I don't think he's looked at, especially if like Alvin Kamara can come back and be who he was. I don't think there's a lot of like our Derek Carr has to save us, and I think that's a beautiful thing. If Derek Carr
Listen, I don't not in this division. No, he just has to do his job.
okay, so did you say the fatal flaw?
My fatal flaw would be Derek Carr then, because I think the team, to your point, is going to run through him, win or lose. So
Okay,
I think it is there. I think it is Derek Carr.
so for me, my fatal flaw for them is they have too many too many like ifs that kind of have to be to work out. Like Alvin
If
Kamara
Kamara
has
comes
to come back.
back, if
Michael
yeah,
Thomas has to come back and be effective. But like so like to their point, if those 2 things happened, that is a Super Bowl contender. If those
you
two,
would,
Alvin Kamara was 1,000-yard rusher.
yeah,
And because like you remember, think about Alvin Kamara when he came into the league. Drew Brees was the quarterback, and they were running through Drew Brees, and all of a sudden they were handing the ball off and dunking it off to him, and it made life so much easier for Drew Brees. If he's like if he can get back to being that
That
guy, and Michael Thomas can be that possession receiver. Because remember, he had like 100. He broke. Did he break the record for most receptions in the season?
I think so. That then like got hurt immediately the next year.
Yeah, yeah. But like he's a guy that can just knows how to get open, and if he can like be that blanket where Derek Carr can just all right, and like you know what I mean. If those two guys can come back and be a blanket, like blankets that he can like say, all right, when I don't, if I can't see it or my ceiling is here, if I can just get those two guys involved with Chris Olave there too, I definitely feel like and that defense is a top 10 defense. They're going to be a scary team, but to the point that's we have to see that happen.
Yeah, on paper they look great.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I don't like three ifs because three ifs usually don't go your way.
Right. You might get one of
Yeah,
them.
they usually don't. so all right, cool. So that's what that is. All right, cool. So let's move on to somebody else. Let's get the Falcons in here. Let's get the Falcons in here. So
I think the Falcons are still a year away because I don't have faith in Ritter. I think that's their fatal flaw. First year starter. I
so you
think they're
think
going.
they're 1 year away. So like next year, you think they're like competing for like the division?
I think they can based off of the new defensive additions.
Mm-hmm.
Who they add what David Onyemenda, Khalees Campbell, and Jesse Bates. Three
Mm-hmm.
different levels, you know what I'm saying, of solid defensive players. We know that they have London on the outside.
Right.
My concern again is the quarterback, Desmond Ritter. He hasn't in the games he played, he didn't show me much. Now they have also to bring up with a stat we don't like, the second easiest schedule going into next year.
Mm-hmm.
Literally right after the Saints, it's 1-2. You know what I'm saying? But like, I mean, you tell me, would you trust the Falcons? Have they shown you anything since
No,
that
no.
Super Bowl
So, but their
debacle?
defense is better. You know what I mean? Like they're going to be very good on defense. Um,
Yeah.
offensive.
Yeah, that defense is what I think is the only reason they have a chance this year. I still think they're a year away from being like, oh, they'll make the playoffs type situation.
Mm-hmm.
But the defense is going to keep them in a lot more games than people think.
So I don't. And this is a very good segue into what I was going to say. So I think they're more than a year away, and I think it's because I think some of their pieces you expected to be better, and I really don't think. One of which is going to be Kyle Pitts. I don't think Kyle Pitts is as good as people.
We'll have to have a whole segment on that one, but yeah.
So like me, I'm a kind of guy. Once again, we old school now. You know what I'm saying? We old school now. I like my tight end to be able to block as well. So the second that you give, so like even when we have like the debate between Gronk and Travis Kelce, I would pick Gronk all day, every day. Because I know
Those
he
blocks.
can impact my offense more than just when he has his hands on the ball. But of course, he's dynamic like that. Even if Travis Kelce is more dynamic in that regard, I still like it to, you know what I mean? That's
Well,
just
I want we want that versatility for the tight end. Yeah, I love you to go up
like
and
you just have
snag
a
me.
wide receiver. That's what I'm saying. So for instance, and the biggest situation where I can see the letdown is if you remember when Jimmy Graham was when he was on the Saints, he looked
With the
amazing.
Saints.
And they didn't throw the ball. He goes over to Seattle, and they want to run the ball. They want him to be the versatility to create it, except he can't block. You
At
know,
all.
and now every time he comes into the game, we're like, oh, we're just gonna put a corner on him because I know you're not gonna run the ball with him in his direction because you know he can't block. He can't block my corners. So let alone a linebacker. So that's what I'm saying. And I think Kyle Pitts, he's not a blocker, and I think. I think he should just switch to wide receiver. You know what I mean? And let's just call that. Yeah.
At this point, if you get Drake London and Kyle Pitts on the outside, you have Ritter playing the position. I don't need you to be superhero. Just distribute the ball. You got Bijan coming out the backfield for you.
Mm-hmm.
You have a
He might be
chance
the rookie
in
of the
this.
year. Bijan might.
That's what I'm
I think
saying.
he'll have to be the rookie of the year for them to compete in this division.
That's what I'm saying. They have a chance with the schedule that's projected right now to make the playoffs, win the division in
Right.
this year. You know what
But
I'm saying? But
but
like for me, that flaw I was talking about was dependent on Ritter. You know what I'm saying?
so that's what I'm saying. So like but once again, for Bijan Robinson to really be like the rookie of the year, I think he's a candidate, but for him to be like the rookie of the year, that means you're running
Got to
the
go
ball with
off.
him, which means Kyle Pitts has to block. And there I think is the problem.
Yeah, he does. He does it block. Listen, dynamic receiver, huge, fast. I give him all that. Then put him, like you said, just stick him out in wide receiver. Put him in the slot. I don't care. Just
Yeah,
stop.
do any of that. If you
Get
want
me
him
a
to
real tight end.
make him your slot wide receiver. But for him to be a tight end, for this offense to go like Desmond Ritter's your quarterback, and I don't know if you like recognize what that means. He needs help, and that help is going to have to come in the form of yes, a tight end receiving option, but also running the ball. And I don't think the defense is good. It's about average. You know what I mean? But it's nothing great there. So you know what I mean?
But again, in this division, as we both know, you can lose to everyone else and beat your division players, and you're in playoffs. Good to
And
go.
then you play. Yes, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? And I believe they have pieces, certain areas around their team that can get them there.
That's
But
fair.
to your
That's
point,
fair.
Ritter needs a bunch of help. He has he has the talent. He has Drake London. He has Pitts. He has Bijan. The offensive line they drafted Zach Harrison out of Ohio State. Like they have pieces that are going to be helpful. But again, it's going to come down to is he going to be able to perform? You know what I mean? And that's where the flaw for me comes in. Because yes, Pitts can't block, but if they're smart and they put him in the slot or something like that, I'll just throw it up to him. He's like 6'7",
You see what
two
I'm saying?
sixty.
Make him your number 2 wide receiver right now. But
Makes sense to me. If
I'm
not,
just not that. And I
trade
thought that when he
him
came
and
out
get
of
some
college.
picks.
Right. I thought the same thing when he came out of college. I said this ain't gonna work. I said I don't see it. Like he's that bad at blocking. Travis Kelce is an actual upgrade in terms of run blocking to
Yeah.
confidence.
And he didn't start that way necessarily, but like he realized I got to do a little. At least I got to bump you or something. Like
I got to get in
Pitts
your
don't do
way. I got
nothing.
to make it hard. You know what I mean? I got to do something. So that's what that is. So yeah, they're an interesting team. So so let's go on over to the final team in this division, the Carolina Panthers.
Uh, Panthers for me, it's the coaching staff. It's a new coaching staff. You have a new quarterback. You have a new number one receiver with Jonathan Mingo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, take your pick. I mean, if they have any chance of winning more than 6 games, it'll be the defense if it stays healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's the coaching staff. It's just too new. Everything is like we were saying with the Eagles losing both defensive and offensive coordinator.
Right.
The whole staff is new.
So the only reason I think that, so like I'll just be quick because I want to just say my fatal flaw is the fact that you have a rookie quarterback and a new head coach. So what you said about Atlanta, that's what I kind of feel about Carolina. I
Like a
think
year away.
I think they're a year away. And even though when I look at their roster, they don't have really a legitimate wide receiver threat right now. But I think once again that could be remedied in the draft. You know what I mean? A free agent signing. I think it's easier to get a wide receiver. Plus, if you watch the show and I talk to you about what translates to the Super Bowl, I actually don't like top 5 wide receivers in terms of winning the Super Bowl. So the fact that that looks
I
like
don't find them necessary in today's league.
so like the fact that they're probably not going to have that, I think it actually works for them, and I think they'll be scary. But I do think here's all right. So here's why I think that's a little bit overblown in terms of the rookie quarterback and head coach in this instance because they got this coach to grab this rookie. You know what I mean? Like this is supposed to fix the rookie. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when you get like the league has switched to an offensive coordinators or offensive minded head coaches are what are translating to winning divisions and winning Super Bowls and advancing now. It used to be the defensive head coaches, now it's the offensive ones. Yeah, I think watching Frank Wright as a Colts head coach, I think there was things that he didn't do well, but I think there was things that he does do well, and I think like talking to quarterbacks is something that I think he's really good at. And like I said, this year, yeah, that combination is it's a year away, but next year I think that could be very scary.
I think similar to last year, Bryce is going to win them a lot of games. Not a
Mm-hmm.
lot, a couple of games, just based off of his skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Because he may be small, whatever. He's insanely talented.
Right,
My issue to like you were just saying goes back to there's no wide receivers to throw it to.
right.
I mean, their best wide receiver is Adam Thielen. No disrespect, but that's not Vikings
Adam
and
Thielen.
Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen. You know what I mean anymore. You know what I'm saying? Mingo is a big boy, but he's a rookie.
The only thing I think the only thing that I don't like about um Bryce Young is actually he reminds me of a quarterback I like, but while we were watching it, I could see the ceiling there. Remember Chad Pennington?
Yeah, Jets.
I loved Chad Pennington. I thought Chad Pennington was like a problem. He was hard to deal with. The problem is, and it's a little bit inverted because Bryce Young is more mobile with a stronger arm, whereas Chad Pennington just had that arm just wasn't strong enough. But his ability
Accuracy.
to see the field and make those reads and stuff like that, like he looked amazing to me. But I say that to say I see a ceiling with Bryce Young in terms of the size, in terms of coming to the league thinking he's more athletic. Like he's a pop. Like I don't care. He's a pocket passer. He's not athletic enough. Like he needs to look at Tua and say, okay, I'm not athletic enough to to do stuff. Let me figure out this pocket.
Listen, take your pick. Tua, RG3, whoever it is, get down.
Right, but
Like
I'm
you
saying is
won't
he
get
was
hurt.
not. Tua came into this league thinking he was more athletic than he actually was. And he really
Yeah,
wasn't that athletic in comparison to NFL players. Bryce Young is not athletic in comparison to NFL players. So what I'm
no.
saying is he has to be great in the pocket. Like I think because in college he could use his athleticism, and I think now he kind of can't. And I think that creates a ceiling for him in the future. That I think he's like they go to the playoffs. I think they do that, but I think you'll always be able to compensate for him. Just like in the same kind of way, like even like somebody great like Peyton Manning. You know I love Peyton. His arm strength. I mean, when it came to the playoffs, like, you know what I mean, it bit him in the ass. You know what I mean? Like he when you can be compensated for, and the fact that he wasn't fast also added to it. When you can be compensated for, this league finds that out. So that's all I'm saying in terms of long term for Bryce Young. But I think this is a team that competes for division titles for
In the coming future.
yeah, yeah.
I don't disagree with that. I think to your point, they are going to they're going to find a running back. They're going to find some wide receivers in the draft or free agency. Like there's going to be moves made to build around Bryce to alleviate the limitations we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Get him a top tier tight end. Hey, go get Brock Bowers next year if you can. Just drop it to him for
Yeah,
5 yards. He'll give you
yeah.
30.
Yeah, like you know what I'm saying? Like I definitely feel as though as a team though, because that defense is legit.
Like I
And
said, if they stay healthy, the defense don't keep him in
that
it.
defense, I love their defense. I actually do love their defense. I love the fact that they spent a whole draft on their defense.
Yeah.
So so, so that's amazing to me. Um so yeah, so that's exactly what I think. So what's up? Talk to me about this division. Who's gonna win a division? How you see this shaking up?
I say Saints, maybe outside looking in Falcons, but I think only one team goes. Like maybe two teams with the NFC East, three on the outside chance with the Commanders, but like no, I think it's the Saints or maybe the Falcons because I mean the Saints schedule just pans out for them. They have a solid defense. They have to your point a couple of ifs, but if them ifs pan out,
Them
you have
ifs
a team
pan
that can
out,
make
boy.
some noise. You know what
Woo!
I'm saying? They can make some noise with them ifs.
Them ifs is iffy.
And the thing is, with the division they're in, they can kind of be like, hey, chill and get healthy for a couple of games. We're playing
Mhm.
Atlanta at home and the Bucks at home the next week. That's 2 weeks I can let you get healthy. You know what I mean? Because we're not worried about them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's the Saints.
Right. So I agree with you. I think the Saints are going to that was my pick, the Saints. There's an outside chance I could see the Panthers winning it if the Saints just if Derek Carr just looks bad, you know what I mean? Those ifs don't pan out. You know what I mean? I could see that that's a scenario that I could see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I give the Panthers an outside chance, but I do think ultimately the Saints. I believe in Derek Carr that much that I think the Saints.
Well, if you look
He's
at the
he's the best quarterback in this division right now.
that part, out of all four quarterbacks, he's the only one with like any good experience as far as winning and playoffs.
Right, but
Everyone
like
else is
there's no
brand new.
but there's no question of who's the best quarterback in this division this year. You know what I mean?
Right.
Next year, we'll see next year. But this year, I don't think anybody who's saying any of those other three quarterbacks. I think they're lying, either to you or to
You
themselves.
you just got to be a homer at that point. If it's like, oh, it's Bryce Young, like, dude, he ain't thrown a pass yet, and he's 5'9". He's not. We
Does it catch you here at Tampa Bay now? Oh, yeah, Baker Mayfield is definitely the best quarterback in the division.
right. It's his fourth team in 2 years. He's balling out
Really
this year.
do.
Like, come on, man. Come on.
Like Baker's
No,
lighting up the league, 5,000 yards
right.
this year, 5,000.
He's going for 45 and 5,000 yards.
30
I'm talking
touchdowns,
MVP.
30 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Baker Mayfield,
Because
championship.
the best, because for me with the Saints, if Derek Carr doesn't get it, like your backups are Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston. Like,
So I think you can make the point that they have three of the best four quarterbacks in this division on that one roster. Bryce Young is the second best, I think, even this year. But like James Winston is better than the rest of those.
that's what I'm saying. I feel like any one of them, like
But
if
Andy
Jameis
Dalton
went,
is
if
also
Jameis Winston went back to the Bucks, they'd be like, yeah, come on,
please,
we'll
please
take you.
take this. Come on back. We'll take
Listen, we'll get you all the crab legs you want, homie. Come on back.
you eat the dubs. You can eat some
You
more.
know, eat them dubs, man. We got you.
Yeah, but Andy Dalton is also better than he's better than Desmond Ritter. He's
That's
better
what I'm saying. If
than
Andy Dalton went to Atlanta, they'd be like, yo, Des, we just gonna bring you off the
yeah,
bench,
yeah,
man.
yeah. It's just not a good division for quarterbacks this year. So
So the NFC South is struggling with QBs, but that's where I think what's his name, USC quarterback ends up one of those teams. I really do.
I mean, or somebody makes a trade. Like
Yeah, always there can be trades, last minute stuff like that. But like how bad the Bucks are, if I'm them, to your point, let me trade Evans. Let me not
see,
play well this year.
let
I
me
mean,
pay you. Tell them you got a strained hamstring. Okay, go to
you know
that.
what I'm saying? Hey man, you good? Just put some ice on it. Go to that.
Yeah, yeah. But okay, so to that point, I think Atlanta actually will be too good to get him. That's my thing. And Carolina is going to be too good, but they wouldn't do it
They
anyway.
want it anyway. They got Bryce. I think
But Tampa
okay.
Bay is
I
really the
think
only
Bucks.
team that I think has a chance in that division to.
Listen, my whole mindset this offseason, if I'm the coach, is like we're gonna run this play like this. What's this? It's the hook and ladder. We're gonna run it 3 times to try to get a first down. Like, coach, that
Right.
doesn't seem like a good play. Like, don't worry about what I'm doing. Just
Yeah.
run the play.
But yeah, well, going back to the NFC East, if I'm Washington, I'm telling you, I will give you whatever you want. You can have whatever you want if I can go get that quarterback because
Yeah.
they've shown they can build a roster. That was a very interesting point. When you said that, I really didn't think about it. Now I'm like, thoughts are everywhere. But if I'm Washington, I'm like, listen, I can build a roster. Take whatever you want. Let me get that number one pick.
I mean, I to your point, almost like with Atlanta, I don't think they're in the running. I think they win enough that takes them out of it. But they could be like, yo, takes Chase Young. Here's Montez Sweat. You know what I'm saying? Here's 3 second rounders.
You see
Here's my
what I'm
first
saying?
from 2025.
Six second rounders. You hear
What you
me?
need?
Six,
What you need? What you need?
six. Take them. Yeah, I don't need a second round pick this decade. What do you mean? Take them all.
Because I mean, there's a few. There's him. There's Drake May out of North Carolina. The whole Pac-12 has, Shador Sanders. Like, there's probably at least 7 or 8 coming out of the Pac-12 that could be a quarterback for NFL teams next year.
I got to
So
see. I got to see.
it's going to be a, it's going. Oh yeah, for sure. We got to see how the season plays out, but it's going to be a heavy QB draft next year.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, cuz we appreciate you stopping by. You know what I mean? Coming through, dropping heat. You know what I'm saying? So everybody,
Thank you.
once again, everybody, please come through. Check us out once again on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We all over the place. And Daniel, just like everybody else, I'm sorry I had to do it to you, cuz you don't know football either, yo. But no, we love
Thanks,
you.
guys.
We love
Thanks.
you to death, man. I appreciate you coming through. We definitely want to have you back again soon.
Absolutely. I'm always ready.
All right, man. Everybody else, I see you when I see you.